Hello and welcome to this episode of Shatterdice Reviews, and today's board game review is Rollcamera by Kean Bean Studios. Rollcamera is a game for 1 to 4 players in which the goal is to make a movie. The game is very light-hearted in nature and simple to play. Of course, you aren't actually making a real movie, but the game does a nice job of using board game mechanics to simulate the various aspects of the filmmaking process. So how does it work? Well, first you set up the board, which is a mercifully quick process. First, place the board, then shuffle these 2 script decks and draw 5 cards from each. Place them in the indicated spaces and flip the top card of each deck. The revealed side will then give you the title of the film you are shooting. Next, take the ideas deck, problem deck, and scene deck. Shuffle them and place them in the indicated spaces. Then shuffle these square set piece tokens and place them in the spaces seen here. Finally, reveal the top 3 cards from the scene deck and place them in these spaces. Then, put this token on the start space of the quality track down the side of the board. Determine whether you want to play easy, normal or hard, and set this dial accordingly to give you your starting budget and schedule. And that's it. All that is left to do now is pick your role. Players take on one of the roles of a crew member, such as director, producer, VFX artist, etc. Each of these crew boards provides a different set of special abilities, allowing you to affect the game in a way appropriate to that crew member, such as being able to sacrifice the film's quality in exchange for money. Each crew board also has an amusing ability meant for a joke, such as demanding other players call you sir, or being in control of what music is played during gameplay. These blue dice are the crew dice and will need to be assigned to various actions throughout the game to allow you to complete that action, such as calling a meeting or building the set. The dice icons represent various departments of the film studio. These are camera, lighting, sound, actors, art, and VFX. You will notice this VFX symbol is a different colour to the other symbols. That is because the VFX symbol is a wild and can be used to represent any of the other departments. Need an actor? Not a problem. Just do what every Marvel film does and use VFX to replace them. Need the art department? Don't worry. Just pull a George Lucas and green screen it all with VFX. Well, anyway, moving on. This brings us onto the actual gameplay. Players will be taking it in turns to roll these special crew dice and spending the icons on there to build the set in the centre of the board and shoot one of these scene cards. Once you successfully shoot 5 scenes, the game ends and you determine the quality of the film. Any level of quality beyond this point means you win the game, otherwise you lose. That is, unless you make a film so bad it's good, in which case you still win. How does film quality work? Well, this star symbol represents a point of quality. Whenever you complete an action that uses this symbol, you will move 1 space up the quality track. But be careful, many game effects will move you back down the track. For example, if you successfully shoot this scene here, you would score a point of quality as the symbol appears on this card. The main way you will move up the quality track is by successfully shooting all 5 scenes in line with the script. If we look at the script, we will see these symbols that denote the film's mood or theme. They are essentially just 5 colours: red for action, yellow for romance, purple for comedy, green for drama, and blue for tragedy. So an action comedy script would look something like this. And at the end of the game, you will increase your film's quality based on the number of red and purple scenes you have shot. Each scene card will have one of the coloured icons printed on it, as you can see here, letting you know which scene is the best for you to shoot based on the script. So how do we shoot a scene? Well, first we have to build the set, using this grid and these tokens in the centre of the board. Using the build set action allows you to pick one of the top tokens from these stacks and place it on the grid representing the set. Anytime on your turn, you can place a crew die on the set, and if you manage to match the crew symbols and the dice pattern printed on the scene card, you may shoot that scene. paying the cost in budget and schedule listed here. Then take that scene card, flip it over and place it in the next available slot on this track, which represents the editing room. This may sound easy until you realise that crew dice can only be placed on these blue squares of the set, meaning you will have to build the set so the blue spaces match the pattern on the scene. You will probably have to rebuild the set in a new pattern several times over the course of the game. That's the basics of what you are trying to do, but all the while, your movie production is being hit with all kinds of wacky problems thrown at you by the problem deck. Each player draws a problem card at the start of their turn and places it in the slot at the top of the board. You will need to keep on top of these problems or they will spell disaster for your film. Let's put this all together with some example gameplay. Player 1 begins their turn by taking this dial and reducing the schedule, which is the game timer, by 1. If it hits 0, you lose. Then they draw a problem card. With that done, they roll the crew dice. Crew dice can be assigned to various actions on the board. This symbol means any 2 crew dice can be used to solve this problem. Player 1 spends these 2 dice to solve the problem, which is moved to this pile. Then they use these 2 matching dice to build a new set piece. This symbol means the dice spent must show the same symbol to complete the action. Player 1 now decides the crew should shoot this scene here. The last 2 crew dice are placed on the set in a position matching the pattern on the scene card. As all the dice have been spent, it is now Player 2's turn. Player 2 then reduces the schedule by 1 and draws a problem. As 2 die have been assigned to the set, Player 2 only rolls 4 crew dice, although they may choose to unassign those dice and roll all 6 dice. But this must be done before the roll is made. Player 2 chooses to roll 4 dice, uses 2 to fix the problem card they drew, and assigns their final 2 dice to the set. It is now Player 3's turn, who rolls just 2 crew dice after reducing the schedule and drawing a problem. Player 3 chooses to ignore the problem for now, and assigns the final die needed to this scene. The director shouts action, as is his right, and the scene card is placed in the editing room. Player 3 reduces the budget as indicated. Player 3 has 1 die remaining, and uses it to call a production meeting, with this action here. In a production meeting, each player gets to contribute 1 of their idea cards. The players decide which to use, and then apply its effects. In this case, they choose to sell off parts of the set. The players remove set tokens from the board and increase the budget on the dial. And that's about it for gameplay. There is of course much more to discover, but I'll leave that for you to find out about on your own. Let's take a look at the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good. First and foremost, this game's strongest aspect is that it is light-hearted fun. It's a great game to play with a few friends, making up silly film plots. The mechanics are also really well implemented, easy to teach and learn. Everything slots together really well, and it is rare you will have a wasted turn in Rollcamera. Even a terrible dice roll might not be any good for shooting a scene, but you will still be able to get rid of problems or call meetings. Finally, the end game. Regardless of whether you win or lose, as long as you shoot 5 scenes, each player is encouraged to recount their version of the film based on the pictures on the cards of the 5 scenes shot. This leads to some funny ideas and displays of imagination from around the table. This is a good way to end a game, as they always end on a high note. Here's an example.
Once upon a time, little Billy was attacked by a tree. Because of that, all his friends laughed at him because he couldn't even fight a tree. But little Billy made friends with a magical cowboy cactus who said he would defend him from trees and his friends. Because of that, his friends decided to poison the cowboy cactus using plant killer, until finally little Billy realized they weren't his friends at all and knocked their teeth out. The end.
The bad. Sometimes the random shuffles and rolls means nothing goes right, as you just can't get the scene shot, and you spend all your time solving problems until you run out of budget or schedule and lose the game having achieved little to nothing. Also, some of the crew roles are objectively better than others, and so the only reason to play some of the roles is to use their jokey meta-game abilities, such as making sound effects whenever someone rolls dice. But that's about it really. For what this game offers, it does it really well. The ugly. Again, not much here. I suppose it's a matter of taste. The board is a bit plain, with lots of white space everywhere, and the artwork is very simplistic, almost like doodles and sketches. But this is obviously intentional, and so it's not as if the game actually appears amateurish or anything. That's about all I can think of though, really. So, what do I think of this game? Well, I'm a massive fan of films, and as a former film student, it really appealed to me. I have to say, this game, if you like the idea of it, is not boring at all. It will provide you with a good laugh and a casual gaming experience you can play just about any time and teach to just about anyone. Well, I'm bored of reviewing this game now. Bye.